You can live your entire life without learning how to pick a stock by yourself, right? Asset allocation, which is learning how much to put in the equity, that is more important than learning which stock to pick, right? But most people are worried about which stock to pick, and to make matters worse, they're thinking about when to put it. And that is the least priority thing when it comes to investing.
95% people who are actively trading made lesser returns than index.
Yeah, not surprised.
Like only the top 5% actual people they were able to beat indexes.
It's the algorithm, it's not favoring me anymore, right? So that's a common complaint that I hear, right? And sometimes it's very easy to you give that as a reason, because then you're not taking the responsibility in yourself, right? You're blaming the external factors which are not in your hands, and it's very easy to make peace with that, right? But I disagree with that, because I am at the end of the day a finance content creator. I am already boring by very nature in my DNA. So I need to be better than a stand-up. How do I make the viewer think that this is better than a stand-up comedian's comedy, right? So you need to put that extra oomph factor. It's just like dating, man. Yeah. Don't turn off the audience. And
in today's episode, we've talked about everything finance. कि ऐसा क्या करना चाहिए young लोगों को so that they are set to create a lot of wealth with a person who created wealth and achieved financial freedom in just 1 year, or maybe just a little more than that. Finance with Sharan. He's an anomaly on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. This guy literally just turned around the entire finance industry by making it super simple and super nice and super funny at the same time for people like you and me. So we've talked to him about what are his views on whether to buy house or rent house. What are his views on what kind of expenditures you and I should make in our 20s, in our teenage years. We've also talked about how content creation is a great career or is a bad career. How you and I, if you want to get started with the content creation world, what are the videos which work? What are the hooks that work? Uski kya process hai? Wo sochta kaise hai? We've spoken about so many things. Everything which a young person needs in order to get started with the passion, build his career, get started with content creation, achieve millions of followers, and what to do with the money and where to invest it so that you and I can create maximum wealth. Make sure you watch this episode till the end because, of course, I don't need to sell you on this. Finance with Sharan, you know him already and you know the kind of value he speaks every time he's on the screen. And before you move forward, my new book is available for ordering right now, which already became the bestseller. #1 bestseller within 24 hours, Build Don't Talk. I've talked about so many things about how do you build social capital, how do you make money, how do you build personal brand, how do you network and reach out to the right people, how do you solve problems, how do you build a career at a very young age and build a life around everything that you like and also make a lot of money. And so many other things. Everything which our schools have not taught us. I've written about all of these things in my book, Build Don't Talk. The link is in the description. Please go right now and order it.
So the reason why everybody should become a content creator, because in India, it has become more and more difficult to stand out. See, earlier, maybe 10, 15 years back, if you had the IIT IIM tag, even if you have the IIT IIM tag and it's there in your resume, you're instantly going to be called for an interview.
Yeah.
Today, even if you have that IIT IIM tag, there are so many other people, not just from other IIT IIM, but from even tier 2, tier 3 colleges who might stand a chance in front of you.
Yeah.
Because they're doing more than what is necessary. And people who do what is more than necessary will always get that edge. So what I mean, what is more than necessary? So LinkedIn as a platform is the bare minimum that I think that everybody should be on.
Okay.
Right? Regardless of what you do, whether you're camera friendly or not, writing is a skill that everybody should learn. Because no matter what you do, telling other people what you're doing and glorifying that and then making it simple for the general public about what you do is very, very important. Because today it's no longer important that you're the best at what you do. See, that saying which says, let my work do the talking, I don't believe in that. Right?
Even I don't.
Right? Because it never does. Right? Because people are always thinking about themselves.
Yes.
Right? People are never going to evaluate you objectively and say, okay, he's doing good work, let us give him a promotion. It never works, right? I've noticed that in my corporate career. I thought that, I'm just going to let the work do the talking. It never worked for me.
Yeah.
So you need to take that responsibility. You take that big microphone, stand on top of the world and tell what you've been doing. And the only way to do that is content creation.
Yes.
Right? LinkedIn is the easiest way to do that, right? If you tell me that you're not camera friendly, you cannot talk in front of a camera, you don't know how to act, it doesn't matter. Like LinkedIn is just writing, right? And writing is such an underrated skill. Earlier today we were talking, we were saying that, a person who is a good speaker may not necessarily be a good writer. And vice versa, right? Yeah. And I think writing is a very underrated skill.
Yeah.
And growing up, I sucked at writing. I was one of those kids. I mean, I aced all the other subjects, science and all of that, because you can mug it up and put it on the paper. And as you get 100 out of 100 in physics, maths, chemistry, everything. English, I got like 80. Right? Because it's not like I can mug up the textbook and write it, right? I have to write it in my own words. Right? You get it. I cannot just copy the textbook because that is active language.
Let me just swoop in here and be like, okay, 80 for me is like super good. I scored 80 in English and I'm like, damn, I killed it.
Right. So yeah, that was like the lowest I got in language.
Okay.
Right. I sucked at language. But yeah, eventually I started writing. I started off with Instagram, and whatever videos I was making, it was, that fun comedic way. And 60 seconds was not enough to explain all the deep financial topics.
Yeah.
So I wanted to explain it as well, for the finance nerds out there. So I started writing it on LinkedIn. Initially, I was just writing, without really thinking about what is effective writing, what is effective storytelling. I was not thinking about all those things. But then I slowly started noticing the posts which were performing really well were the posts in which I had a good storytelling. There was a good structure to it. There were some personal elements of my life that connected with that particular financial topic, and those stories really performed well. So that's how I, developed that skill. So basically, I would say it's not just writing; it is storytelling. The art of storytelling through writing is one of the most underrated skills. So coming back to why everybody should be a content creator. So now today, let's say an HR. First thing that they do when they evaluate you as a candidate is they will go on LinkedIn to check you out, right? Yeah. It's like that, right? Yeah. When people are dating, they go and find them on Instagram. They'll be in private, so you can't do much unless they accept your connection request. LinkedIn is not like that. They will see everything about you.
Yeah.
And everybody does the same shit on LinkedIn. They will glorify whatever they have done. If they have, if they have saved, let's say, 20,000 rupees in some cost-cutting project with the 30 other people, they will say, I have, I have created 40% cost savings, and then make it seem like they were the guy behind the show, right? So that's what happens, and everybody does it, right? So everybody bullshits there. Yeah. So HRs don't believe that shit anymore. So they will look at the company pedigree, they look at the college pedigree, and then they'll see whatever the work they have done, but everybody sounds similar. And there are hundreds of applications like this. So now if the HR has already seen a post of you on LinkedIn, or he's seeing that there are some posts that you've put out on LinkedIn, which has resulted in a lot of engagement, which has resulted in a lot of people commenting on it, right? That shows that you're a thought leader in that particular field. Because it's not enough that you're the best at your job. It is also important that you articulate what you do in your job. Because eventually those are the people who become leaders.
Yeah.
Right? Leaders in a company are not the ones who are the most intelligent or the most, technically savvy people. They're the people who can inspire others, and you inspire others through storytelling. And HRs are looking for those kind of people. So I think that is the bare minimum that everybody should have in today's corporate world. So that's why I think everybody should be a content creator.
I have two takes, okay? I'll tell you first, I completely agree with this point that, hey, nothing is organic. Like nobody's going to come and hand it over to you and be like, oh, you're doing good work?
Yeah.
Here's the world to you. Fuck no. Like it's not going to happen at all, right? In fact, I usually give it like, I give an example in my speeches. I used to do that let's say we all are lost in a jungle, okay? And you get separated from the troop, right? And let's say there are people who come to find you. Now, if you're sitting in a corner, just hoping that people will come find you, even though you're like the brightest person or like the smartest person or the most talented person, whoever you are, even if people need you badly, will they be able to find you in a jungle?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, right? Yeah. So what do you have to do? You have to go at the top of the mountain, start screaming. You have to show lights. Exactly. Like, listen to me, find me. Hey, I'm here. This and that.
And then beat your chest as well.
Exactly.
It's me. I'm here.
So you have to do all that so that you get noticed. And once you get noticed, then only you're going to get saved. Absolutely. And that's what I feel. The world is like a big jungle. If you want to get noticed, you have to climb on the top of the mountain and then start shouting, screaming, showing the light, figure out how you can do, do that fire thing so that you can attract more people during the dark as well.
Right.
And that's how only you'll get discovered. You said one of the most important thing is storytelling. And while you were doing something on LinkedIn, when you structure stories really well, at that time it works. What is a good structure of a story according to you?
Okay, so LinkedIn, the way it works is you're not shown the entire post in the beginning. You're just shown the first 2 lines. So immediately you need to tell the audience in the first 2 lines, you need to grab their attention. So that's called the hook line, right? So what I would do is perhaps talk about some very shocking fact. For example, see, a lot of us buy, life insurance products, mutual funds and all of that. But almost 82,000 crore is lying unclaimed. Right, so let's say I die, right, and I'm not told anybody in my family that I have made all these investments. So nobody's going to make that claim, right? The nominees, well, the company is not going to call up the nominee and say, boss, there's money lying over here. They'll not do that. They'll just transfer it to some other account where it is just sitting idle. So 82,000 crore is lying idle like that. So this is a very shocking fact. So I'll begin with that in the first 2 lines.
So start with the shocking fact.
Start with the shocking fact. So I could have just said, how to pick a life insurance product, right? Or things to avoid, things to keep in mind to avoid your kids from getting poor. I can do something like that as this thing hook. But it's not as powerful as this. 82,000 crore is lying unclaimed in these accounts. So I'll start off with that.
By the way, just a fun fact, I've also made a reel on 82,000 rupees unclaimed.
Even I've done it. So that is the shocking fact.
Okay.
Then after that, you maybe connect it with one instance in your life related to that particular topic, right? For this, you need to start thinking deep. In the beginning, it's really difficult to do that. For me, now it comes easily because I'm easily able to connect it with, because I have thought so much about my entire life, right? Like you said, overthinking, that I know exactly in what part of my life to plug in for this particular kind of information piece. So I do that. I bring in that story piece. And then I talk about the boring topic in full detail. And then at the end, I also put a TLDR section, right? Because for people who press the more button, they'll see 500, 600 words, fuck this shit, I'm not reading this, right? So if they see the TLDR thing, they'll at least read that. And if they read that and if they get the gist of the message, they might either read the entire thing because what is this? I don't believe this. Let me read this. Or they might at least give you a like by reading the TLDR section. So this is how I structure it.
So the first is, you give out a shocking fact so that you entice people to go more.
Yeah.
Then you connect it with the personal life so that you build relatability.
Yeah. And that is the most difficult thing. And I've seen a lot of people making mistakes there where they're force-fitting a story which has nothing to do with that topic. Right? They'll just be at the airport, they'll take a picture over there, and then they'll talk about some plane fact or whatever. Or they'll take a picture with someone who they meet in the flight and they'll talk about some 5 things that they learned from him, which is absolute bullshit. So people are overdoing that part. So that part is an art. Right? And the way you do that part will determine whether people will be like, this guy is just writing some random bullshit stories, right? Just making up stuff. Or they'll be like, wow, the way he has connected the story, the way the story is flowing, it is amazing. So that's a thin line between those 2 areas, right? There's nothing in between. So that is the hardest part. Then TLDR is very simple, right?
I don't know about the full form of TLDR. Too long, something what?
I don't know. It's like too long, I don't have time to read, something like that.
Yeah, something like exactly.
They basically explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old kid, right? Yeah. Don't take more than 1 minute of my time. That's it. So that's what it is.
So yeah, so like
and in the TLDR again, be very impactful by using the maybe you can highlight what would happen if you do not do this, right? I usually do this if you don't want to lose so much money, then you should do this. So that again becomes like a hook at the end for them to read it again or read the entire thing properly. It's for those people who were sold with the hook line. They hit the more button. When they hit the more button, that's an instant signal to LinkedIn that this is a good post. This guy is spending some time on this post. So making that person hit the more button is the number 1 priority. Once they hit the more button, they'll see that there are 500 words. People don't like to read anymore because of the the low attention age. People are already hooked with Instagram Reels, so nobody likes to read a lot anymore. So if they see a huge chunk of text, they'll be like, no, I don't have time to read this. But if they see the TLDR section, they'll definitely read that because it's like 10-15 seconds. And if they like that, then they might go back to that.
Yeah.
Now coming to the body itself, always divide the body. Don't write more than 3 sentences at a time and then keep a space break.
Okay.
Because if it's a huge block of text, it's an instant turn off. Right? It's just like dating, man.
Yeah.
Don't turn off the audience and don't make it difficult for them to read, because it's all in a single text. They might not know where they finish that line. Right? So it's like that.
Interesting. This is like a LinkedIn 101.
Yeah.
Okay, by the way, I disagree with the fact that people have low attention.
Okay.
Like, it's not the attention span which is reducing. I feel the ability to take judgments is reducing. So
Okay.
here's the thing. You can still be in front of Netflix for 8 hours straight, watch a whole series.
Yeah.
Right? So it means your attention span is not reduced. It's that you know that there are unlimited options in the world. So you can't choose which one to spend your time on.
100%. Yeah.
So your attention is not getting reduced. It's just your ability to judge is faster, and your ability to decide has gone lower.
I would say it's the grass is greener on the other side multiplied by infinity.
Exactly.
That's what has happened, right? Like, I'm watching something, I know it's good, I'm enjoying it, but there is a possibility that something better is out there, so I cannot stop here. I need to go somewhere else. Like that. That is what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so tell me now, let's talk about your short form. How do you structure short form? Okay, let's start with your views on what do you think, why are people not able to grow on Instagram?
Why are people not able to grow on Instagram?
Instagram shorts. Like, don't say that, oh, the algorithm is not promoting.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Like, forget that.
Yeah.
I mean, because algorithm, no, it's in nobody's hand.
Yeah.
Right? There are still people who are growing crazily on Instagram.
Yeah.
And there are people who have not been able to grow.
Yeah. In fact, today only I watched a reel of a comedian saying, when a creator's one reel doesn't work out, and he's like, they always start blaming the algorithm. It's the algorithm. It's not favoring me anymore, right? So that's a common complaint that I hear, right? And sometimes it's very easy to you give that as a reason, because then you're not taking the responsibility in yourself, right? You're blaming the external factors which are not in your hands, and it's very easy to make peace with that, right? But I disagree with that. I think there is always a reason when a video doesn't perform well.
Okay.
It's never Instagram's fault. It is the audience who is not liking your video. And why have they not liked your video? Because coming back to that same thing, that people's ability to choose has been distorted now. So every second in the reel, when you're making content, every few seconds, if you're not bringing fresh, something new, something which distracts the audience, something which makes the audience, okay, let me stay, something is coming, let me stay, let me get hooked. If this every 3 seconds something is not flashing on the screen, they're going to lose your attention. See, most content creators, what they do is they make a mistake of talking too long let's say it's a skit. They'll keep a sentence very, very long, and it's just their face talking in a sentence. So it seems like a monologue, right? Audience hate that. Right? Because they want at least a B-roll flashing in, or some nice infographic coming in, or short sentences between two people. So the audience always want that, right? So what I do is, Instagram unfortunately doesn't show you those retention metrics, right? So what I do, I put that video on YouTube, and then in YouTube they'll show the retention metric, and I know exactly where the spikes are happening, where the drops are happening, why did that drop happen. What was the sentence that I used before to make that drop happen? There is so much of interesting stuff happening after that drop, which half of my audience didn't even watch, right? Because that first 15 seconds was not good, right? That is the biggest thing. See, on YouTube, when somebody is watching, they are typing for that. So it's a search engine at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When somebody is typing for it and they're clicking your video, they're going to watch it because they know what it is. And that is what they came for. Instagram is not like that. They did not ask for your content. It just came on their feed. So every 3 seconds, if they are not hooking him, he's going to go to the next reel, which is either dancing or a stand-up comedian, right? Because I am, at the end of the day, a finance content creator. I am already boring by very nature in my DNA. So I need to be better than a stand-up. How do I make the viewer think that this is better than a stand-up comedian's comedy, right? So you need to put that extra oomph factor, right? So for me, that is either jokes from time to time. So that is why most people, know me, because nobody has connected finance with the jokes, right? Finance is always considered to be serious.
Yeah.
So, but that became a unique combination, and that was really, I was really able to grab their audience's attention. So one is that, jokes. Then other one is use of clever sound effects and use of clever characters. use of voice modulation, right? Using different characters, use of different filters, using that baby version of me, right? So all of these are like, it looks fresh to the audience. Like it makes them want to watch it, right? It's these sort of subtle things.
Enticing through personality.
Correct. And then voice modulation, like, when I'm a baby Sharan, no, that won't work, like that, all those kind of things. Or using slangs which are very, very popular in different parts of India. Because people who are from that place are already gonna go bonkers over it. People who've never heard of that, they'll be like, for example, me, when I'm watching, let's say, content of some Mumbai creators, and they use Marathi, right? I don't understand it, but I know that they're saying something funny and there's something abusive in that language, right? And the way they say it and the way that the person reacts, it's kind of making me watch it, even though I'm not understanding it. So now I use Bangalore slangs. Now only Bangalore people will understand it. Everybody else will not understand it. But still, they're intrigued to watch it because it's creating that pull factor for some reason, right? So it's these sort of thing.
Okay, now whatever you noticed, I want to talk about now perspectives.
Okay.
Yeah. So what have you noticed about audiences? Like, how is India different or nice or weird, or I don't know. Like, what have you noticed about Indian audience? If you want to grow or win Indian audience, what do you need to do?
I can't really comment on that because I haven't created content for other geographies or other countries. I've only created content for India.
So yeah, what do you think? Like, what do people want? Like, what do they like? What is the one thing which you've noticed that, hey, you know what? This really works with, let's say, 2 million people are following me.
I think Indians really don't want you to, at least in the education content space, they don't want you to be just a news channel telling what is already out there in the world. That is why I never do trending topics. For example, you remember, let's say when Elon Musk bought Twitter, or when Ronaldo moved that Coca-Cola bottle, right? I never make content on those kind of things because it's already out there. So audience is not looking from you to hear that same shit again, right? Every time the audience asks when they're watching content, I don't know if it's true for other countries, but in India, this is 100% true. When they're watching a piece of content, let's say educational video, not dance or stand-up comedy, they'll be like, after watching it, they'll be like, is this helping me in any way? Like, your series which you started, the Tumhe Kya Karu?
Yeah.
Right? So everybody, they're inherently asking that question, right?
Yeah.
If you talk about some complicated finance thing which they're never going to use in their life, they're never going to be interested. But if they know that somebody else in their life is facing something like this, okay, and if they think that they might be facing this, like most of my audience are young, right? Most of them don't own a house, but eventually most of them will take a home loan. So talking about a home loan topic is eventually going to help them in their life, in their future. So these kind of topics, right? So, or if there's somebody else in their friend circle who is going through this, for example, let's say I talk about, foreign education, how to arrange finances for going foreign. So we all know someone who is thinking of going for higher education, right? So people, number one thing is they'll think about, whether it is helping them. If it is not helping them, is it helping anybody else in my life? Because then they want to seem like a good Samaritan to their friends by sharing your piece of content. So it's just these two things I would say for Indians. If it's either helping them, no. If it's helping other people in my community, no. Then I don't watch this content.
Okay. By help, okay, I want to go deeper and I want to share this one insight that I feel people share content which gives them a feeling that they're smart.
Right. Yeah, that is called social currency, right? So it's about people feeling cool about themselves.
What do you feel? How much time does a person need from going, like, because you said that everybody should become a content creator.
Yeah.
How much time somebody needs to go from 0 to 1 lakh in today's world?
On Instagram. So when I meant everybody should be a content creator, I meant the bare minimum, right? I'm not saying everybody should make video content, right? If that is not your cup, see, that is not my cup of tea also, and I had to struggle like hell to be good in be good at talking to a camera when there's nobody around. In fact, I watched so many videos on how to talk to a camera, right? Now, so it is difficult, right? And I remember my first podcast also, I had begged that interviewer to send me all the questions beforehand so that I memorize everything and come, right? Here you didn't share any of the questions with me and I'm comfortable, right? So I was at that state. So I'm saying it's okay if you don't want to make video content, but at least written content. Now coming to your question.
Go to any platform from 0 to 100K.
Okay. So.
Video, audio, text, short form.
See, 0 to 100K with short form content is I would say much easier compared to long form content. I mean, much easier. The reason being, right now, the social media platforms itself are pushing this a lot, right? It's the external factors are in your favor right now. That's number one. Number two is, just imagine, right? If it's long form content and if that person has never heard of you, why is he going to invest 10 minutes of his time watching you, right? Because long form content is all search driven.
Yeah.
Right? And any topic that you pick, there are other people who have talked about that topic. And if there's a more famous person who has talked about that same topic, who already has more views, it's very difficult to make the other person click your audience click your video. Right? Unless your thumbnail is kick-ass, which it won't be when you start. I remember spending 3 hours on a thumbnail which came out to be absolute shit. And just me pointing at something. Right? So that's the case. So and even if those long form content people watch, right, it's like a limited number of people. Let's say when you start, I was getting 400 views, 500 views on my YouTube. Now these people, the only way you can grow on long form content is through word of mouth, because the algorithm is not doing much to promote your long form content, right? So if the people
Wow.
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay, it's okay.
So if the limited number of people who is watching your long form content really likes it and is sharing with their circle, that is the number one way you will grow, right? Otherwise you won't grow, because in short form content, the algorithm is doing most of the work for you, right? So that's if you start off, I would say start off with short form content. You build that huge audience through short form content, and then you can build depth with those large audience through your long form content. And I think that's exactly what you've done. I did, yeah. Right? You started off with Instagram. You made all of these amazing videos which went viral. I think you got like 50 consecutive videos, million views during the pandemic. You built 1 million followers, and now you started this podcast, right? And now from that 1 million people, I think about 500,000 people have come over here, and now you're able to build a very strong connection with them through these long form videos. And that is exactly what people should do. Yeah. This was not possible 5 years back. 5 years back, reaching 1 million followers in 1 year was unheard of, right? And now it has become, we have at least heard of 4 to 5 cases where that has happened. Right?
Yep. Your case is a classic case. Right. I also grew like in a year only. Right. Like went from 100K to 1 million in a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so short form. So what do you think like people can, so from 0 to 100K is let's say 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to take 1 year.
Okay. I would say 1 year is possible. Provided that they're upskilling themselves, innovating themselves every month at least.
So I was gonna come to that. Like, what are the top 3 things they should consider if they want to clearly ace their game?
Right. So, firstly, I would say, wow. See, what worked for me is, in the beginning, I just went with it, right? I did not really think about your metrics and all of that, right? Because for me, the bigger challenge, and which will be the biggest challenge for most of them, is to knowing how to talk in front of a camera, right? For that, you don't think too many things, right? Most people will be like, you have to do this, you have to do thumbnail, you have to do, special effects, graphics, editing, subtitles. When they think about all those things, they never even take that first step, right? So I would say, first, just make any video that you can, right? Just learn how to talk in front of a camera. And then that will be very, very shitty, obviously. But you will learn a lot from it, because when you watch it, most people have never watched themselves in a video, right? It feels weird for them. So in the beginning, it will be weird, right? So the more you watch yourself in front of in phone of your recording, right? You will inherently think, okay, I can do this way. I'm not pronouncing this word correctly. I can do it this way. My eye moves around a lot. I'm looking up and down a lot. I'm not smiling enough. Right, so all those things will come to you when you watch yourself on a video. Most of us just watch, film stars and movie stars on TV. So we never really have observed how we are on camera. So that is the number one thing which you will learn a lot from. In your first month of creating content itself, you will learn a lot. So then you will fix all of those things, right? You will know how to make hand gestures better. You will know how to smile constantly, even if you don't want to smile sometimes, right? So you learn all of that. Your eye expressions and all improve. Your voice modulation will improve. You know where to make those enunciations, which word to stress upon to make your point. So you learn all of these fine things.
Okay.
So that is the number one skill to attain when it comes to creating content.
Creating a video and then observing yourself and then making sure that the next video is better than the one which
Yeah.
you have created.
Yeah,
already.
and that'll happen inherently. You don't even have to put a lot of effort. The
Yeah,
more you
yeah.
watch yourself, see how I do it today.
100%.
How I do today when I'm creating my skits and dialogues. So that one person who I'm the one character that I'm playing, I still use an iPhone 11, so I'll use that front camera. So I'm seeing myself, act. So after I shoot, I'll take 15 to 20 takes for every dialogue. So after the first take is never gonna be the last take, right? So I'll take myself once and then I'll observe it like 4 to 5 times, saying what I can do better. So I've observed myself, it sounds wrong, but I've observed myself acting so many times that I know exactly, how to do the voice modulation, where is my hand covering my face, how much expressions to do, where to give that pause. So all of these are small nitty-gritty things which are very, very important. But it can never be learned without doing it, right? I can't just read a book and learn it. It only comes through viewing myself. And in the beginning, it is going to be embarrassing, right? You will feel like, why the hell am I even doing this? I look so bad. Yuck. I want to just kill myself. Shit. I can't believe I look so bad on camera, right? You feel all of those things. And that is the biggest hurdle which new content creators face. I mean, if there are 1,000 content creators today, and if let's say 10 lakh attempted, all those remaining 10 lakh, 9,90,000 people in this first month phase, they see that how bad they are and they never take that next step. They're not able to learn from these embarrassing moments and become better. So that is number one thing. Second thing is, as an education content creator, I always look at practical value because I feel like I should not waste the audience's time because I'm not a comedian or a dancer, so I'm not there to entertain, right? I'm there to teach someone something. So if I don't feel like somebody has learned something important which can help them either save money or make more money, I will not make that kind of a video. Right? So that's the second thing for me. So practical, having a strong practical value in your video is very, very important to me. Right? So that is the second thing. So once you have these two things sorted, I would say 60-70% of the work is done. Now it is about how to ensure that the audience will keep watching your boring yet important financial topic. Even though you can speak well, even though you know how to do the voice modulation, and the audience also knows that if they watch your video, I will learn something.
Yeah.
Right? But they just don't want to do it because they're tired at the end of the day and they want to watch something chill and relaxing. So you need to bring those chill and relaxing elements in your video. Right? So how I do it is through humor. I might do a cosplay. I might act like Batman. I might act like Harry Potter. Bring something fresh every single time. Bring some surprises in your scripts every single time. I end most of a video with follow my man finance with Sharan. But sometimes I might end it in a different way. I'll be like, who the hell is finance with Sharan? I'm a goddamn investment banker. Who the hell is he? I know everything. Follow me. Change the ending sometimes.
Yeah.
So always keep them surprised, the audience. So these are those small, and that is the constant evolving process for a content creator. Most content creators, the successful content creators, can come to this stage wherein the enunciation and expression is fixed, meaning in terms of talking and camera friendliness, the practical value in every content is fixed. And they're able to crack the fun elements as well at one point of time. And that's how they became famous and everybody knows them. But consistently doing that third thing is difficult. That is why most content creators, after maybe 2 years, they kind of, I've just been doing content for 2 years, so who am I to talk? But some content creators, you see that after 2 years, they kind of die down. It's because they're not able to reinvent themselves on the third thing. The first and second thing, you don't have to do much, right? You can always be the way that you're talking. And the practical value is practical value. You can't really make it better. You can research better, but it's not going to create a huge impact. Only that third thing, which is the... the fun elements and the creativity part is something that you need to reinvent yourself over and over again. And that is why it is so hard to, be a content creator.
It is. I also feel that there's one more thing, that a lot of people try to do things which doesn't come natural to them. So
True.
For example, maybe learning about finance or just talking about corporate life or finance or doing those characterial things came natural to you because you like them.
Yeah.
Like you like Friends. That's why you talk about it.
Yeah.
You like, let's say, Batman.
Yeah. Love it.
All of these things, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it comes natural to you. You want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So you look forward to that.
Right.
Let's say someone like me, if I try to do, for example, Superman, I don't like Superman. Like it makes no sense. We're not starting a Marvel DC banter here. But like you get my point, right? It won't come natural to me, and then after a point I feel forced. And the moment I feel forced, I want to quit on it because I don't want to get out of the bed and do the same thing. The
Right.
moment my life becomes comfortable. Whereas for me, what's really exciting is trying to get to know like really smart people. And that comes naturally to me. Like I can never get bored of it, at least as far as I think of right now. Like I can talk to, yesterday we were talking about, right? I can do 3 podcasts a day and
Right.
still not get bored of it.
Yeah.
Right? For me, that's not work. Like it's just, it comes naturally. So I can extend this life for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But
Yeah.
what I need to do is need to think about, okay, now that I've done this for a year, let me change a little approach and surprise my audience. So here I can maybe surprise you. Yesterday we were talking about, I was telling you like now I'm going to formatize my show. You told me like there are 3-4 things which you should do to upgrade it.
Yeah.
Right? So these are the
And
little
that is what
things.
the menu makeover is all about.
Yeah. So
Because
Sharan
earlier
told
he was
me-
wearing a black shirt in a black sofa. Okay? Come on, editor, what are you doing? No contrast at all.
So
And look at him
Sharan,
today putting layers and stuff.
yeah, so Sharan made me do this. Sharan was like, no, you're not wearing black.
Yeah.
You need to wear something different. Right? So these are things, I can do this.
Yeah.
Because now this is where I'm trying to upgrade, this is where I'm trying to do this, but still I'm doing something which comes natural to me. So if people are trying to force themselves by doing something that doesn't come natural, I think that's where they die. And that's what happens with most of the people who do it, who does content creation, like who do content creation for a while. And after 2 years, they're like, I'm done with this. Like it's too much effort to do and pretend to be someone who you are not.
So I have a slightly different take to it. See, if I had thought that way, that I'll never do things which never come naturally to me, or which I'm judging in advance that I will not enjoy doing it. Right?
Experiment. That's okay.
Experimenting is important.
Experimenting
right?
is 100% because you don't know what comes naturally to you.
Yeah. So even the things which you think are going to be very, very uncomfortable for you, you should definitely experiment.
Oh, 100%.
And the only reason I did it was because my sister pushed me to do it. Right? I was making YouTube videos. It was not working out. And she told me, you make Instagram reels. Right? And she pushed me to do it. And I went and did it. Right? And I like doing it. Right? So, I mean, only after I tried doing it, I liked doing it. But beforehand, prima facie, if I had to decide, I will be like, definitely I'm not doing this. Because I've already made the decision in my head that this is not me. I won't be able to do it. So if you think like that, you will never be able to experiment with different things. Interesting.
Okay. Now let's come to the money part.
Okay,
I want to understand. So because you've read so much about money, how many?
I'm probably the poorest person who's come on this podcast.
Okay, sure.
About money.
No. Raj is the poorest person on the platform.
There's been billionaires here, startup founders, and unicorn CEOs, and I'm here. Okay,
but
fine.
that makes you the most exciting person because you are the most achievable success story on the podcast right now.
Really?
Yeah, you can. Like everybody can achieve what you've achieved. Like it gives me a vibe that I can do this. It's not gonna take. You did it in 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone else who came on the podcast has done it at least like the minimum time if they can is like 8 years to 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. So you did it in 2 years. I mean, let's just keep the Zepto guys aside.
Yeah.
Apart from that, like everyone has done it in like 8 years, 10 years, a decade.
Yeah.
So you did it the fastest. So you are the highest aspiration level.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's talk about like how I became rich. We'll talk about all of this as well. Your concept only, I'm stealing. So what do you think? Because you've read so much about money and you come from a typical background that, hey, you did a job, you did engineering, then you did a job, then you took a plunge to do content creation, then you wanted to go to Ivy League.
Yeah.
You were collecting money for that and you dropped that.
Right.
Okay. So what is one thing which you feel most of the people who are starting their life makes mistake when it comes to money? Like what are the most common mistakes they make?
Okay.
Because you've done all of this. Like that's a natural progression for everybody, right?
Right.
Like go to a good college, study well, then get a good job, then go to a good college again, upgrade yourself, then study more, build your experience, and then one day when you experience enough, start something of your own.
Yeah.
This is like a common narrative.
Yeah.
So where do people make mistakes?
Firstly, first mistake is that people start thinking about money once they start making money. That is the first thing.
Okay.
Most people think about money once they get their second paycheck, because the first paycheck they're just going to blow it off.
Party.
Right? Second paycheck is when they start thinking about it. Until then, they've not been. It's not their fault also, because they've never been taught about this in school, so they don't even have the interest to do it. That's number one. Second thing is, once they know that investing is important, what do? We as humans, we always like to think about the best thing in anything, right? In cricket, we'll think about Kohli, right? Because that's the first thing that comes to our head, no? It's recall. So when it comes to investing, what has happened is, because of what the media is talking about all the time, that is stock market, everybody is thinking about what stocks to invest in.
Mm.
That is the first thing that people make. But this is the real truth, Raj. You can live your entire life without learning how to pick a stock by yourself, right? Asset allocation, which is learning how much to put in the equity, that is more important than learning which stock to pick, right? But most people are worried about which stock to pick, and to make matters worse, they're thinking about when to put it. Timing, right? This is the most common question that you hear, right?
Yeah.
Is this the right time to invest?
Yeah.
Markets are down. Is it okay? Can I put it now? And that is the least priority thing when it comes to investing, right? So even me, when I started at the age of 19,
Okay.
right? Before I got my job, because I was lucky that because I used to get money from my grandparents during birthday, like most of us get. So I kept collecting it in my money belt. And by the time I was 19, it came up to like 50,000 rupees. So I had to learn how to invest this money, because I didn't want to buy a smartphone or an Apple that time.
Okay.
Right? So I wanted to invest this money. And naturally, even I started learning about stock picking and all of that. And you make a lot of mistakes in the beginning, and then you feel like, stock market is not it. So then most of them will go into fixed deposit. I luckily happened to come across content by some of the greatest YouTube finance content creators on whose shoulders that I stand upon today. The Pranjal Kamra and Rachana Ranade. These are the true pioneers of finance content creation in India. These are the people who made it easy for even me to understand content, finance. So I learned from them, and I realized that there's so many more things to come when it comes to personal finance apart from stock picking. Mutual funds, for example. The reason why most people don't do all of these things, the other things like insurance, mutual funds, tax planning, it's because it is not sexy enough. It's boring, right? Even if they do it, it's not like 20% returns, 25% returns, 30% returns, or double. Right? Most people in their mind is good is minimum standard in their head is double.
Yes.
Zero risk, double.
Yeah.
That is their minimum standard in their head. Because it is not like that. See, you never heard a story on newspaper or on a news channel about a guy who became a crorepati by regularly investing in active mutual funds for 20 years. You will never hear that story. You will hear about Zepto founders who became billionaires at the age of 19. You will hear that. You will never hear these kind of stories.
Yeah.
And these kind of stories are the things which you need to do in life, right? But because it is boring, people are like, I don't want this boring shit. I want to do the harder stuff. I want to learn how to do stock picking. But let me tell you now, see, learning how to pick stocks is great, right? If you learn and if you truly enjoy doing it, and these are the things that you need to do. Read annual reports every year of not just one company, because you're evaluating hundreds of companies, and out of which you're going to invest in 10.
Yeah.
Then read quarterly reports, which is every 3 months, right? Then you have to listen to read investor presentations. Then you're going to have to listen to con calls of board meetings which are happening. So all of these things you have to do along with a full-time job.
Yeah.
A mutual fund manager is already doing all of these things with a team of 5 people. And you're telling me you with a full-time job can do a better job than him. Maybe you can do, right? Because mutual fund manager has some constraints that he cannot invest more than certain amount of money in a company. All those constraints are there. So you have advantage there. But still, he has more manpower than you. Right? But if you can still do it and be better than him, then go for it. But don't force yourself to do it. Because you can make more money by being better at your main job, right? Because 60 to 70% of your wealth creation is happening from income generation. Then 30 to 40% of your wealth creation happens with what you do with that money.
Exactly.
Right? So don't necessarily focus on what you do with that money so much if you have taken care of the basics, right? If you've taken care of 90% of the work, which is asset allocation as per your financial goals, that is 90% of the work. Then if you have more time, then you can do stock picking and all of that. But if you don't enjoy doing it, and if you're constantly making mistakes, don't force yourself to do it. Just focus on being better at your job, getting that promotion, and make more money. Because getting a 20% increment is probably easier than getting 20% returns in the stock market.
Yeah. In fact, there was a study which I was reading. It was done by NYU's professor.
Yeah.
Which said in US since 1980, like I think somewhere crashed like in the 80s, whenever the crash happened. Post that, okay, till 2013. They did a research on everybody who was actively trading. Okay. They figured, like they made a research, 95% people who are actively trading made lesser returns than index.
Yeah. Not surprised.
Like only the top 5% actual people they were able to beat indexes.
In fact, Zerodha itself tells only 1% of them are able to make money. They say that as well. Only 1% of the traders make money. And I'll tell you one more thing. There is this positive bias when it comes to reporting how good you are in trading. Because when traders are talking about, let's say there are some content creator traders, and they talk about how much money they're able to make with trading, swing trading and all of that. They inherently, due to no fault of their own, they are only thinking about their best work which they've done in a year. And they'll just tell, I am able to make 30 to 40% returns, right? So when newbie investors are hearing these, they think that there's nothing better than trading. But if they actually give an objective answer where they're also putting in, also considering the fact that they're losing money, the returns would barely cross 20% in a year, which is a good number. But they're doing it full time, right? You cannot be an active trader by being on another part-time, another job. So that is the number one thing, right? So crossing 20% returns for most traders is very, very difficult in the first place. So if you're doing it as a full-time job, good, right? But if you're not doing trading as a full-time job, you already have another job, right?
Focus there.
Yeah, focus there.
Okay, I have two last questions with you.
Yeah.
Okay. One is, what do you feel the world gets wrong about you?
About me?
About you. Like, what do you feel like there's one thing people should know about you, but they don't get it? I'll give you an example. Let's say I'll give you my example.
Okay.
One thing I feel which world gets really wrong about me is they feel that I'm super privileged, or I was born this way. Right? I've designed my life that today I don't have to face problems. My parents have worked so hard and designed a life that their kids don't have to face problems. But while we were growing up, I've seen all sorts of things. I've stayed in a 2 BHK with 10 people. I've stayed in a rented house. I've stayed in a bungalow. I've stayed in like multiple places. I've stayed in small societies. I've stayed in bigger places as well. I've seen all ups and downs. I've been part of my dad's journey of the business. When my dad has an absolute fire in his factory and he was in 25,000 loss every month.
Wow.
Okay. And he had to take, what do you do? Like take loan from one person to pay off your other loan and then take from third person. So he was in that vicious cycle. I've been through that phase. And I've been to a phase where my dad was making multi-million dollars, right? So, and with me, the good part was it was not up and down. It was always like we started from the bottom, and our life changed after, I think from 2016, 2017 to 2013, I went into college. So this was me, 16-year-old, right? So that's where I feel the real life starts. So if you're not like super privileged in your 16 to 20, it means you've worked like, you've not seen the privileged life, because then you understand the value of money. That's whether you understand, right? So from 16 to 20, we were growing up and I didn't have enough access or enough money to actually go out and spend like anything. And I feel the world takes that for wrong. They take it for discount that I got it all easy. Things were easy for me. And they were not. It was just like when I was growing, my family was growing, my friend circle was growing. All of us, touch wood, okay, like everybody around me, they all started growing. It was such a, like, I don't know how that happened. All my friends grew. They started making a lot of money. Their family started making money. My dad started making money. My uncle started making money. My grandfather started making money. Everything happened in like 5 years.
Wow.
Okay. But to make that happen, we've all struggled our way up. And in those 5 years, like if I probably would have known, let's say that my dad is my dad is getting richer as well, I would have not worked as hard as I've worked in my life.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because you're doing something which is not necessary to, you've done something which for which you could not have taken advantage of your dad's success.
Exactly.
Right? You could not have taken advantage of that anyway. That is something that you have to build by yourself.
So I would say I did things from 0 to 1, whereas I could have easily started at number 3 and take it to 10. Right? So I didn't know this. And nobody knew, because 0 to 1 for my dad was also happening when my 0 to 1 was happening. Right? So I feel that is one thing which people take for discount. And I feel that's the one thing which people take it for wrong. And that I would love if people see my journey and they see my what I've done in my life as well, and not discounted with whatever we have been given with.
So for me, it would be two things. One is a very similar answer to yours, where people think that that I'm privileged and I'm very, very rich, and that happens mainly because see, I had a good upbringing, right? I got most of the things that I wanted, like a typical middle class family. It's not that I was given cars and whatever. I was just sent in a rickshaw to school, up and back, up and down. Went to a good ICSE school, good education, good food. My dad owned a restaurant.
Did you have PS? Did you have PS?
What's
Like
PS?
PS4.
PS4. No, I didn't have any of those things. Nothing.
Okay.
I had to reuse my sister's girl cycle as my cycle. I was that kid, right? And I was wearing, I don't want to take any brand names, but I was not wearing your, Levi's or those kind of brands, right? So I had good, a good education. I was eating good food. My dad owned a restaurant and bar and restaurant, so all of that was
same upbringing, like good
the
middle
bare
class
necessities was there, which is also, not there with a lot of people in our country. But I had it, so I'm grateful for that.
Same.
Now, I'll tell you why people think that that my family are like probably multi-millionaires. It is because, like I said, my dad went through multiple cycles of fortune in his life. So when he was at his first peak, he did a mistake. He built a super big mansion, right? It was like the mansion of Mangalore, like very beautiful house. That is where I still live in, right? I've lived there for 20 years and I have most of my fond memories there. Now that house is like, what do you say? It looks like the house of a multimillionaire, right?
Okay.
I won't disagree with that. Now, because there were multiple hardships which happened after that, then the lifestyle kind of was brought down, right? But I'm still living in that same house, right? It is sort of like, the Roman Empire. You still see all their, or the pyramids. You still see all of those huge monuments, but they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing inside anymore. So it's like that, right? So that is what has happened. Now, you might say, why don't I just sell the house, right? But the thing is, I would never want to sell the house because now it is because of the emotional thing. It's my primary residence, and that's another mistake which many people make. They buy a house too early in their life, and a lot of their capital is trapped in it. And they say that it's an investment, but they're never gonna sell it. If they do sell it, let's say they stay in a flat, they'll just buy another house, which is more bigger and better than that because they're already used to that lifestyle. So that is what happened. The money is always locked in, and this will probably be forever locked in. Maybe my kids might benefit from it by selling it because they don't have emotional connection with that. That's an ancestral house for them, their grandparents' house. But for me, I would never sell it. So it's not of any use to me. Right? So that is the number one misconception that people have, that I'm born with the silver spoon and that, I had a safety net, in case content creation did not work out. If it was...
Safety net is a good word.
Yeah. If it was a safety net, I would have probably done content creation full time. I did content creation alongside management consulting, a 12 to 14 hour job per day. Along with that, I did content creation for almost 1 year. Right? Why would I do that? Why would I want to put myself through hell if I have a safety net? I would have just done content creation full time. Right? So that is what happened.
Same, by the way. For 5 years of my life, I did public speaking, keynote speaking and all that and tried to make money while doing the business because I didn't have a safety net, because I thought if I do public speaking or content creation full time, I probably won't be able to survive myself or make enough money to
Absolutely.
To back my family up as well.
True. So that's the number one thing. Second one is, which we already talked about, is people thinking that I have these inherent God-given gift skills of talking and acting and all of that. We already talked about that in great length, right? If you, if you talk to any of my college friends, right, the last thing that they would tell about what I would become in the future is a content creator. That is the last thing that would come in their head. It will probably be, investment banking or management consulting.
190 marks you were getting. No,
yeah,
of course you
exactly. Or doing some PhD at some US university.
Okay.
That is the first thing that would come out of their mouth if they had to bet their life on it 5 years back. If they had to bet their life on it and they were supposed to say content creator, they'd be like, you might as well shoot me, man. That guy's never going to be a content creator. It would be like that. So that's the second misconception that people have about me, that I am a naturally gifted, actor or like a speaker, creator, right? I think those kind of skills are
like the way you've built it right now. It looks supernatural. Like it's commendable what you do. I genuinely envy you the way you make things flawless on your screen. Like the way you do the characterial thing, it looks like this is you.
Right.
Like, it doesn't look like that. I mean, and that's the most, so the most effortful thing is the one which looks effortless.
Right.
So that's, I would definitely agree.
But
on
it is
this.
not effortless.
It is, of course.
Yeah.
To make it look effortless, you have to
Yeah.
put
You
in
need
the
to put
extra
the
effort.
effort, yes.
Like that's and it's the
Correct.
classic case with
That's
me.
a great way of saying it. Yeah. Right.
That's what you do. Okay. So the last question of the day
Yeah.
is, I wanted to give it a thought. What are you most confident about? Like, what is that one experience in your life? What is that skill maybe? What is that one situation where you feel like, ये हो गया, इसके बाद तो मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ. Or maybe you've gained some insight. Like some days.
I would say it's your ability to kind of zoom out, right? So what happens is whenever you face a failure or a downfall in your life, the immediate reaction is that this is permanent, right? Whatever has happened, this is permanent, right? This is it's just going to be a downward spiral. That is because we are unable to kind of foresee what we can do in hundreds of 24 hours coming up in the future. We are unable to foresee that, right? But if you can kind of zoom out and say that, okay, I've reached the pit bottom over here, but there is still not infinite number of lots and lots of 24-hour days yet to come. And each of those days, if I put in incremental efforts, little bit, I can claw my way back up, right? I think that having that mindset, it's difficult. I wouldn't say I've mastered it, right? But whenever I feel, because it's like, not like I'm on a, I mean, it might seem like, I'm growing constantly, but there's definitely, those downs and ups, which you guys don't see. Only I see that, right? And I face with that. So whenever those down phases come, I always zoom out, thinking that, okay, it happened now, but there's so much more time left for me to fix that, to evaluate it, to understand what went wrong, and, tweak it, to make those adjustments. And I think every successful person has mastered that ability, right? Knowing that whenever adversity hits them, there are so many more things that they can do. Always trying to figure the way out, right? There's always a way out, right? I mean, unless you've been doing some shady shit and you're in trouble with the mafia or the government, then there's no way out. But eventually, there might be some ways out. We've seen some examples. Well, yeah. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is there is always a way out, right? Always need to figure that way out.
And this probably you got it, the learning from your family.
My family, and also from that MMA. I think there was a movie. It was this Never Back Down movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like whenever he's in a triangle choke. Okay, and the protagonist says, how can I get out of this? It's impossible to get out of this. There's no way. And then the coach says, there's always a way out. You just have to, he does something with his legs, but there is always a way out to get out of tough situations. You just need to zoom out, calm down, and evaluate it objectively. Yeah, shit has hit the fan. It's okay to be stressed and all of that. But if you think about it and actually evaluate what has happened, and plan your next steps little by little. You won't have the answer at one go. That is the problem. People want answer immediately. Answers will never come immediately the next day. That is the problem, right? People, if they don't have the answer immediately, people think sab barbad, sab khatam, right? I know my Hindi accent is a little bad, but yeah, that's what people think. But the answers will come to you slowly. If you keep putting those small efforts, the final answer will come to you, right? But but most people are unable to do that, right? I would say I'm slowly reaching that state, and I think that is very, very important if you want to continuously keep growing. Because if you have that mindset, you can never stop growing. Like, that is that mindset, like, you will never back down, right? No matter how many times I put you down, you are always trying to come back up. You can never beat that sort of a person, no matter how good you are. Let's say you are the best person in the world to do this particular job, but if there's another person who is 10th best or 100th best, because even if you're the best person to do the job in the world, you will also eventually face those failures, right? Life is not that rosy. So the person who's 100th best, he is able to deal with those difficult times better than you. He will always surpass you, right? So that is the number one skill set which I prioritize right now, and I think I'm slowly getting there, right? So that is what I.
And once you have that, like, you feel like this is the thing which you're confident about the most.
Yeah,
you don't care about anything else.
I don't care about anything else. Even if shit hits the fan, I know that I can climb my way back up. But obviously, I'm not going to say that I fell down and I'm happy and I'm smiling there. No, I'm probably crying and I'm having some mental trauma. But knowing how to come back up with that mindset is what you need to strive for.
You know what I'm most confident about? Actively listening.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too. Right.
So I feel that's the
Yeah,
most.
I think it's a gift, man. Seriously. I wouldn't say it's a gift because we just said nothing
Yeah.
comes naturally. But I think that's an amazing skill because I was actually wondering, before we started, what the hell am I going to talk about? This guy already knows me so well. We've already spoken so many times. What the hell is even going to come out of this? I'm going to probably bore myself, right? But the kind of things you touched upon and the kind of things which have come out as a result, right? It's truly magnificent what you'll be able to bring out of me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Nice. That's a validation max. On that note, thank you so much for watching this episode.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for watching this episode till the end. If there's something that you didn't agree on, let me know in the comments. If there's something that you agreed on, let me know in the comments as well. Because I really want to understand what are the things that you like, you understood, or you have experienced in your life, which can help me as a person. And I really want to know what did you like from our conversation and it helped you so that we can double down on that. So please, please, please comment and let us know and share this video with at least one person who you believe can start their content creation journey, can start their financial independence ki journey from today itself, because one conversation can change your life. It can spark a new idea, and new idea is enough for you to turn around your life and your nation's life. Let's all help each other and build this ecosystem together by sharing the right kind of conversations with each other and support so that we all can grow together. Thank you so much for watching this till the end. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Jitni cheezein kar sakte ho sab karo, because obviously I would want you to do that, because these are the kind of conversations I want to share with everyone around the world. Until the next episode, keep figuring out.